Welcome everybody, my name is Katie and today I'm going to be guiding you through a lovely hip opening, shoulder releasing, multi-level yoga flow. So before we get started, as always, just a reminder that this is a multi-level class. You have agency over your body, you know what kind of class you want today, whether you want to challenge yourself and kind of pick up a few of the different options, or if you want a more slow and nourishing practice, just honour that in the body. There's no pressure to take on options that you don't want, and if you go too far, you can always come back. Of course, if I'm not offering an option that works for you, make this practice your own. Take what you want and leave behind what you don't. So getting started, you may wish to grab some yoga blocks or bricks. If you have them, they look like this, or books can work really well as an alternative. If you have a bolster or anything that you want to put under the knees, you've got that option as well. Pillows, things like this also work great, so you don't need all the fancy kit, just whatever you have lying around. So grab that, grab a blanket, any other bits and bobs that you need for your yoga practice, and let's get started. So starting today, we're going to start lying on our backs. So if that's not comfortable for you, you can always remain seated with the legs crossed, the legs outstretched, whatever works for you. Otherwise, finding your way down to lie on your back. And lying on our backs, we're just going to take a second to really settle in and baseline and ground into our practice. So getting yourself really comfortable in this position. So if lying on your back feels best with your knees bent in, you can take that option. Otherwise, you can outstretch those legs, making sure the body is nice and comfortable. Legs are long, spine is long and relaxed. Feeling the weight of the back of the head in the floor. If you're lying in this position with the legs outstretched and it feels a bit tricky and uncomfortable for you, that's where the blanket, the bolster, the pillows, all of that kind of stuff is really great to put underneath your knees, so you've got that option should you wish. So finding comfort here, closing the eyes, dropping the gaze, placing one hand on the heart, one hand to the belly. We're just going to take a few grounding breaths, breathing in. Soft sigh, exhale through the mouth, breathing in. Soft sigh, exhale through the mouth one more time. Beautiful, allowing the breath to settle now into its natural rhythm. And just allowing the attention to gently turn onto the breath. Seeing how it feels to breathe in your body today. Seeing how it feels to be present with the mind. Perhaps the mind is busy, chattering, there's quite a lot of noise in there today. Maybe it's quite peaceful and calm. And at this point we're just observing. So just see if you can watch the thoughts, if and when they come, just like you're sitting on a hill and watching the traffic below. These thoughts can be there, but you don't have to identify with them. Just coming home to that breath if the mind gets distracted. Feeling the gentle rise and fall of the belly beneath the hands. The gentle rise and fall of the collarbones as your breath takes its journey. So we're just settling into practice in this moment. Shutting out any distractions, just observing any thoughts that come, and transitioning our attention back to the breath. Creating that space in the mind. Beautiful. Start to deepen that breath for me. Breathing in, breathing out. Releasing the hands down the side of the body. You can blink your eyes open if you wish, or you can keep them closed as we transition through these poses lying on our back. So we're going to move into hugging the knees towards the chest. So float those feet off the floor for me. Give those knees a bit of a cuddle and just roll from side to side, starting to gently wake up the body. Start to draw circles with those knees. So we're going to take the knees towards the chest and open the legs out, push them away and bring them back in again. So the knees are circling in opposite directions at this point. Taking those circles as small or as big as feels comfortable. And if it feels better to release the hands, you can release the hands. This is a bit more active in the tummy, particularly when you're pushing the knees away, so you've got that option should you wish. And you might feel at this point, I certainly can feel in my hips, the clicks and the cracks that are happening in the hip joints. That's totally fine, just releasing, starting to get some movement in. Hugging the knees back into the chest once more, little squeeze, maybe even lifting the head off towards the knees. And then taking those circles in the other direction, releasing the head back to the mat if it was raised. So reversing those circles, knees still moving in opposite directions to each other. Beautiful. Hands on knees or arms relaxed down the side of the body. Nice. Hug those knees in once more. We're going to move into happy baby pose. So starting to open the chest towards the ceiling, we're going to spread the knees apart. So that's the first thing in this pose. If that feels good, stay there. If you know where you're headed and you want to come into full happy baby, keep the knees bent, keep those knees spread apart, so drawing them into the armpits, but start to bring the soles of the feet towards the ceiling, and we can take hold of the back of the thighs, we can take hold of the shins, we can reach the head up, take hold of the outer edges of the feet, and bring the head back down. So this is our happy baby pose. So whatever form you're taking today, just honour that in the body. Allow some gentle rocking to open, to come along from side to side. Gently opening in those hips. This is a fun pose, this one. Happy baby pose. Keep drawing those hips, keep drawing those knees towards the armpits, opening in those hips. Nice. And just notice if your tailbone's lifting off the floor and you're kind of looking like this a bit more, you might have gone too far in the pose. So just making sure that that lower back is planted firmly in the floor. You can place your hands underneath the lower back if that's helpful for you. So this is all about opening in the hips. Just making sure that that lower back is rooting down as we're drawing the knees into the armpits. Beautiful. Then hugging the knees in towards the chest once again. We're going to rock and roll up to seated. So getting a bit of momentum through the back, through the legs. If this doesn't work for you, finding an alternative way to seated, maybe lying on one side and then coming up. Everyone meeting in a seated position. So coming to seated, you may wish to put a little block or a little blanket or a little pillow just underneath those sit bones to encourage that tilt in the pelvis, which can help us find that long lengthened spine. So finding a comfortable seated position, just starting to work into those shoulders. So breathing in, drawing the shoulders towards the ears and exhaling down. Breathing in, exhaling down once more. Breathing in, exhaling down. Taking that in the other direction. Breathing in, shoulders come up. Exhale, let it go forwards. Breathing in, shoulders come up. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze towards those ears. Exhale, let it go. Inhale, drawing up. Exhale, let it go. Nice. Opening in the sides of the body now. So let's sweep our right fingertips over to the side, leaning over towards the right side of the room, drawing those fingertips away and up towards the ceiling, and creating this lovely stacking shape into the shoulders, so starting to open out the side body. The left hand can come towards the floor, and then we can start to lean a bit further over if that feels good. You don't have to go that far to feel this. We're trying to feel a lovely stretch down the right side of the body. So if you can feel that stretch, wherever you are, great. This is too low, you may want to put some blocks underneath the hands. So just allowing that opening, that stretching to take place in the body, and really focus on drawing that bottom shoulder forwards and that top shoulder back. So you've got that active twisting motion through the upper body. Nice. Start to windmill that top arm, so sweeping it forwards and up. Breathing in, let it go, sweeping it down, bringing it forwards and up. Beautiful, sweeping it down once more this side. Inhale, drawing up. Lovely stretch, and then let's windmill over to the other side. Right hand comes down to the floor, left hand comes up. Same thing on this side, honouring that the sides might feel different. You're going to feel maybe a bit tighter on this side at first. So just allowing the breath in the body to settle, to find that stretch. Keep rooting those sit bones down for me. So we don't want those left sit bones to be lifting up at this point. Make sure the sit bones are rooted down. And I want you to imagine that we've got this big beach ball on the inside of our right chest. So we're leaning against this beach ball, so we're not kind of collapsing in. We've got this lovely long side body, even though we're leaning over. So finding that space in the belly and down the side of the right side of the body. And then again, twisting that bottom shoulder forward, that top shoulder back, get that sense of opening, lifting the heart towards the ceiling, stretching those fingertips, breathing here. Then we can windmill that arm, so exhaling, let it go. Inhale, sweeping it up. Space, expansion, light, let it go. Inhale, sweep it up. Beautiful, exhale, let it go. Inhale, bring it up. Nice. And then bringing the body back to center. Wiggling in the shoulders, in the chest, in the neck, anything I haven't guided that feels good in the body. And then we're heading on over into our all fours position, our tabletop position. So coming into tabletop, moving any blocks, bricks, pillows, blankets, anything happening there, and heading over to tabletop. We're going to move into rounds of our cat-cow, but today we're going to be exploring our tiger toes option. So similar to what we did in our last class, if you watched that one, just bringing those toes with that cat-cow motion. That's an option, you don't have to take it. So if you just want to do standard cat-cow, that's just moving in the spine, that's equally as good. So whatever feels good in the body. If you're taking those tiger toes with me, we're going to point our right toes towards the ceiling, drop the belly towards the mat, lifting the chest, broadening those collarbones and lifting the head up. As you exhale, we're going to scoop the belly, sucking the belly button towards the spine, pressing into those hands, bringing that bent knee towards the nose, drawing those shoulder blades apart. Taking that again, inhale, drawing the belly down, lifting those toes towards the ceiling. Nice, drawing in as we exhale. Bent knee comes forward, knee to nose, taking that once more. Inhale, drawing up. Still we want that motion to come from the base of the spine. So just because we're introducing the leg, don't forget about that cat-cow motion coming from the spine. Nice, taking that on the other side 3 times. Inhale, left toes come up this time. Belly's dropping towards the mat, chest is lifting, gaze is lifting. Exhale, belly's going to draw in, sucking the belly button towards the spine, pressing into the palms, space between the shoulder blades, knee to nose. Inhale, other way. Exhale, back in. Inhale, pointing up. Exhale, back in. Nice. Letting go of those knees, bringing them back. Taking a second just to wiggle, get a bit of freedom in our all fours position. This can feel a bit jarring in the wrists when we just land in this position. So taking the time to settle in. Allowing the body that freedom, that space, maybe turning the wrists over the other way. Or stretching the wrists. I love to do this. Feels really nice for me, it might feel awful for you, so just see what works in the body. Just waking up the wrist, finding that space. Nice. Finding our tabletop position once again, we're going to tuck the toes, take a deep breath in, and as we exhale, we're heading on up to our downward facing dog. So finding downward facing dog, finding your alignment in downward facing dog, making sure the feet aren't too close together or too wide apart. Same for the hands. And then pedal those feet, straightening one leg and then the other. Breathing here, just moving through that motion, allowing the body, the chest to move as you twist and wiggle those hips. Nice. From here, settling back into stillness in downward facing dog. As always, the heels don't need to be down in downward facing dog. You can do that if you want, but nothing will happen when you get your heels to the floor. So
So if that's not for you, keep bending in those knees and really focus on drawing the chest back and lifting those sit bones high, okay? That's the whole thing. For downward facing dog, we want that lovely straight spine. If you can keep that and press the heels down, great. Otherwise, keep drawing that chest back towards the thighs and bend those knees. We're going to move into three-legged dog, so pointing the right toes towards the ceiling. And then we're going to bend that right knee, stacking the right hip on top of the left and opening the chest out towards the right side of the room. Breathing here, letting that opening happen across the hip flexors. Slowly as you exhale, drawing that knee back to center, bringing those hips square to the mat. And then we're going to rock forwards, bringing the right knee towards the right elbow, holding here, powering up those shoulders, and then stepping it through. So we're in our low lunge. Right foot is in front of the body. Hands are currently framing that foot. Plant the left hand into the floor. Draw the right fingertips up and away towards the ceiling and bring your left shoulder towards the right knee, opening into a twist. If this is too strong, drop the knee. If you want a bit more, hook the right fingertips towards the left hip. Breathing here. Raise those fingertips back up. Plant the hands back onto the floor, hands frame the feet. Drop the left knee to the earth. Take padding if you need under that left knee. And then take both hands to the inside edge of that right foot. Wiggle that right foot towards the top right corner of the mat and start to sink those hips down, coming into our lizard pose. So this is a really nice hip opener. Now there's no right or wrong here in this lizard pose, I think, anyway. So you can wiggle from left to right, forwards and backwards. You really want to be feeling the stretch down that front hip flexor on the left hip. So as long as you can feel that stretch there, it doesn't really matter how this looks. We just want to focus on how it feels in the body. If you're really flexible in the hips, you may find that you're coming down onto the forearms, you're bringing the chest to the floor, and you might want to open and roll those right toes out a bit more, getting some serious opening in the hips there. These are all options for you to explore. A few more breaths here, either holding in stillness or moving, left, right, forwards, backwards. And then bringing the body back up, reframing that foot with the hands, so bringing the foot back to center, hands framing that foot. From here, we're going to lift the chest up on our next inhale, so don't rush the breath. When you inhale, draw the chest away, bring the fingertips towards the ceiling, lifting up, finding that space, exhaling, coming into our Anjaneyasana position. We've got the option here to get a bit of shoulder stretching in. So if this feels good for you, you can take this option. Palms can face each other. Then you can cross the hands, flip the palms and sandwich them together. We've got that option. Inhale, drawing those arms up. Exhale, sinking down into our Anjaneyasana. So we've got a bit of shoulder opening happening here. Always in our crescent lunge, we want to imagine that we're drawing those hip bones together. So everything's not collapsing out, everything is still zipping in, there's still control. We've got the option with those arms, if that doesn't feel good, open them wide or bring them down. Nice. Rocking back on the right heel, start to straighten out the right leg and come into our half split. Wiggling that heel forward. And then start to sink the belly down, bringing the nose towards the toes, finding that stretch down the back of the calf, down the back of the thighs. Maybe tenting those fingertips, so drawing those fingertips up, scooping in the palms, pressing on those fingers, or maybe hands are flat, maybe hands are on blocks. Breathing here. Allowing the breath to settle, the body to settle. Just allowing that opening to happen in the body. Nice. As you next inhale, press the sole of the right foot back into the mat. Hands are going to frame that foot once again. We're going to tuck the back toes if they're not already and draw the back knee off the floor. Now this next bit is an option. It's there for you to explore if you wish. But if you want to take it with me, what we're going to do is take a lovely deep breath in, press the floor away through the feet. So really firmly press those feet into the mat. Lift the chest up and away from that front thigh, bringing the arms up towards the ceiling and sinking on down into our Malasana, our high lunge position. Still in this pose, just like Anjaneyasana, we want the tailbone tucked and we want to straighten that back knee as much as possible. Now my left knee is a bit funny at the moment, so I'm going to keep a little bend in that left knee, and that's always an option for you. But otherwise you want to keep that back leg straightening away, pressing that left heel away, lifting up through those fingertips, heart shining towards the ceiling, finding the balance, finding the breath, finding the strength in the body. We've got the option here to eagle those arms. So if you want to eagle those arms with me, put your left hand in front of the body, stack your right elbow on top of the left, and then wrap those forearms around so that palms can touch. So you're kind of creating this knot shape with the arms. And then start to press the elbows up towards the ceiling, starting to feel that opening through the shoulders, through the chest, breathing here. Nice, and then expanding those arms wide, scooping in all that beautiful energy, and then relaxing the chest forwards, melting it over that front thigh. Hands frame the feet. Step the right leg back towards the left, coming into downward facing dog, pedaling those feet. Breathing here. We're then going to take all of that on the other side. So left toes lifting up towards the ceiling this time. Dodging the tree, lifting those left toes up towards the ceiling. And then bending in the left knee, stacking left hip on top of right. So opening the chest out towards the left side of the room. Feeling that stretch down the left hip flexors. Keep pressing into the palms. And then bringing the hips squared off towards the mat once again, keeping that left knee bent, rocking forwards on the ball of the right foot, scooping belly into the spine, pressing into the palms, left knee comes to left elbow, and then step it through. Pressing right palm into the floor, we're going to peel back those left fingertips, working into a twist, drawing right shoulder towards left knee. Again, we've got the option to drop that knee if this feels too strong. If you want a bit more, lifting that knee and tucking the left hand towards the right hip. Nice, bringing the chest back to center, releasing the hands to the mat, dropping the knee to the earth if it's not already there, and then bringing the left hand to the inside edge of the left foot. So both hands are on the inside now of that left foot, wiggling out that left foot towards the top left corner of the mat, and then starting to sink those hips forward and down, so coming into our lizard pose. So again, there's no right or wrong here, it depends how open your hips are. You might be on forearms, you might be on fingertips, you might be using the blocks, but this is all about squeezing those hips down towards the floor as if we want to touch the hips to the earth, connecting those hips in. Get that sense of drawing downwards. Again, if you want a bit more, you can open and kind of rock onto the outer edge of that left foot, really finding that opening in the hips. Beautiful, everyone, just making this pose work for you. Nice. As you next inhale, draw the chest back up, pressing firmly through the palms once again, and then hands frame the feet once more, so wiggle those toes back to the center of the mat. Pad under that right knee if you need to. And as you inhale, draw the chest away from the thighs, exhaling, sinking down into our Anjaneyasana position. Just like on the other side, we want to get the sense that the hip bones want to kiss each other. So everything's drawing in, Tummy is strong, everything's drawing towards the midline, but we're sinking the hips forward and down as much as feels comfortable. Maybe starting to draw a line back with the nose along the ceiling, coming into a little baby back bend. We've got the option to bring a little shoulder work into this. And if you want to take that option, extend the hands in front of you, palms facing each other. Cross the arms at the elbow. Flip the palms towards the inside, sandwich them together and lift them up overhead. Opening in the shoulders, lovely stretch in the side body, across the tummy. Keep lifting out of the lower body. Nice, untangling the arms if you took that option. Lovely wide arms, everyone, scooping that energy in as we melt the chest down, hands frame the foot once again. We're going to lift the back toes, take a deep breath in, draw the belly away from that front thigh, coming up into our high lunge. Pressing the right heel back and away, straightening that right leg, lifting up through the crown of the head, through the fingertips. Finding that balance, finding that focus. Zipping in the tummy, using those tummy muscles, firing up the glutes. Option to introduce a bit more shoulder work. If you want to take the eagle arms option, cross the right arm in front of the body. Left arm is going to go over the top, crossing those palms, drawing those shoulders down. Nice, releasing those arms, extending them wide, scooping up towards the ceiling. Hands pressing down, chest melting down. Stepping the left foot back towards the right, pedaling those feet. Lovely job, everyone, really nice. Drop those knees for me. Big toes to touch. Knees spread wide, let's sink on back into child's pose. Taking a few gentle steadying breaths in child's pose. Allowing the breath to settle and the body to settle. Nice, and then as you next inhale, draw the body up, use that breath to bring the body back to tabletop. We're heading on very briefly back into downward facing dog, and we're going to head to standing, so you can either tiptoe the feet towards the hands, or bend in the knees and jump those feet forwards towards the hands, and then straightening out those legs, pressing belly button into the spine, and uncurling all the way to standing. Beautiful, settling in our Tadasana position, our mountain pose. So coming to the tops of the mat, toes tracking forward, feet are hip width apart. From here we're stepping our right foot back once, step it back twice, opening out into our warrior two position. We're not hanging around in warrior for long, but we just want to press in, opening those hips, getting a bit of bouncing, finding that opening into that groin, into that hip. Opening the chest, pressing the outer edge of that right foot into the ground, lifting up and out, drawing those shoulders away from the ears. Nice. From here, get the sense that someone's pulling your left fingertips towards the top of the mat. And when you can't go any further, bringing that arm down to the thigh and bringing the right arm up and overhead. Gazing towards the armpit, hello armpit, lifting those fingers up and overhead, just like we did on the floor, drawing that bottom shoulder forwards, that top shoulder back. If you want a bit more, you can start to press that left palm towards the floor. Keep pressing firmly into the outer edge of that right foot. From here, we're transitioning into triangle pose. So straightening out that bottom leg, bringing those arms in line with the shoulders and working into triangle, gazing up towards those fingertips or gazing down towards the foot. Nice. If you want a challenge here, don't lean into the legs. Draw the arms away from the legs. We can even draw them out to the side. So finding the option that feels good for you. Feeling that opening in those hips, lifting up and out of that outer body so we're not collapsing into that body. Nice, and then drawing the body back into warrior two, bending into that front leg. We're going to take our reverse warrior now. So we've got the option to take the right hand, place it on the top of the left thigh, wiggling those fingertips there, otherwise sending it in that direction. And then when you're ready, flipping that front palm, pressing down and away, scooping up and dropping behind the body as we head into our reverse warrior. Keep bending into that front leg, keep pressing into the outer edge of the right foot, and keep breathing. Beautiful. Extending those arms back into warrior two, recentering the chest, and then straightening that front leg. We're going to open both sets of toes out now into our goddess pose. So toes are pointing out into opposite corners of the mat. You can relax those arms for now. And you can play around really where the feet feel good. So we're going to be bending in the knees. So just have a test and see where you want those feet to be. You might want them a little bit closer. You might want them further apart. It depends on your knees. So make sure that you're comfortable. Make sure you're looking after the body. When you've found the position that you think is right for you, wobble, find your balance, not tipping the weight back and not tipping it too far forward, and really drawing that tailbone down towards the floor. Stretch those fingertips up. So as we inhale, let's draw that energy up. Let it rise through the body. Feel that connection from the very base of the sacrum, lifting out through those fingertips. So we're starring those arms up. As we exhale, bring the hands to prayer and bend the knees. As we inhale, lift back up. Sparkle those fingers. Nice. Exhale, bend the knees. Opening in those hips. Nice. Holding here. Any issues, lift back up at any time. Otherwise, hold here. Get a little bit of bounce on. Now, I want you to imagine that just like me right now, you've got your back near a wall. So we don't want the bum to be sticking out and the chest to be going forwards. We want to really imagine that that pelvis is tucking down, knees are pressing back, spine is long. Nice. We've got the option here to lift the balls of the toes off the floor and press them down. Nice. Working with that inhale, float the fingertips up, lift the balls of the feet up. Exhale, balls of the feet come down, hands come to prayer. Inhale, float up. Exhale, float down. Nice. One last little bend, and then inhale, floating those fingertips up towards the ceiling. Sparkle those fingers out. Relax the arms down. And then point both sets of toes towards the front of the mat. And we can pigeon toe those feet if that feels good in the body. So what that means is toes are drawing in, heels are pointing out. Take a lovely deep breath in, draw those knees up into the thighs, and as we exhale, take that lovely length in the spine with us as we hinge forwards at the hips, coming into our Prasarita Padottanasana, our standing wide-legged fold. Release the hands, release the head to the earth. Keep pressing the floor away through the feet and try not to sink the sit bones back. So imagine we've got that wall behind us. We want to send the weight forwards into the toes and really focus on that opening in the hips. And if we want a bit more here, it's actually more difficult in this pose to have the feet narrower together, so it's kind of counterintuitive. But if we want a bit more, we can bring the feet narrower together. Take hold of the back of the shins, the calves, the feet, the ankles, and start to post the head and the chest through that space, in the hips, through that space in the legs, drawing the chest backwards. Beautiful. From here, we're going to open out towards the other side now. So allow the right toes to track forwards. Bring the chest over the right foot, pick up the left leg, get a bit of momentum and step it in. Sticking your head in the tree and unfolding all the way back to standing. Nice job, everyone. We're going to head on to the other side. So stepping that left leg back once, step it back twice, coming into our warrior two position. So doing this all again on the other side. Getting that bouncing in the hip, Feeling slightly different on this side maybe after all that stretching on the other side. Extending those fingertips away in our warrior two position, tucking the tailbone, lifting out of the core, of the trunk, pressing down with the lower body, lifting up and out of upper body. Beautiful. And then imagine someone's pulling those right fingertips towards the other side of the mat this time, and when you can't go any further, let the right hand come down, extend those left fingertips over the top of your head. You'll look opposite to me. I'm not mirroring you. Sorry, I just realised I'm not mirroring you anymore, so you might be facing the other side. So those fingertips are drawing up and over the head. Lovely. Bottom shoulder drawing forward, top shoulder drawing back. That twisting sensation. We've got the option to extend that bottom hand towards the floor, really finding that lovely side opening stretch. And then heading into our triangle pose, straightening out that right leg, bringing those arms to stack in line with the shoulders, either bottom hand resting on the leg or lifting actively away from that leg. Gazing towards top fingers or gazing down towards the bottom foot. Beautiful job everyone, hopefully feeling that lovely stretch across the left hip, left side of the body. Nice, bending back into warrior two, bending that front leg, lifting the chest. Option to hook the left hand on top of the right thigh or send it in that direction. Flip that right palm, scooping up and overhead and heading into our reverse warrior. Keep pressing into the outer edge of that left foot. Keep bending into the front knee. Keep everything stacked, one on top of the other. Leaning back. Nice, and coming back into our warrior two. Beautiful. From here, bring those toes forwards once again, tracking forwards or pigeon toe. We're heading back into our Prasarita Padottanasana. Melting that chest forwards, hands clasping onto the back of the shins, towards the feet, posting that chest through the gap in the legs. Breathing here. Nice, and slowly pressing into the feet, little bend in the legs as we draw the body up. Beautiful. Heel toe those feet together. Take a little release in the body. So one of the things I like to do is scoop the hands up and overhead. Take a deep breath in, and as I exhale, bend the legs, let it go, swinging the arms. Inhale, draw up. Exhale, let it go. Nice. And anything else I haven't guided that feels good for you? Maybe some hip circles in the body that can feel quite nice. Drawing that chest up and over. Anything in the shoulders and the neck that feels good to release. Anything that you need in your body I haven't guided. And then when you're ready, we're coming to the top of the mat. And we want the toes to roughly be in line with the edges of the mat. So because I want you to see me, I'm going to turn this way, but for you, you're going to be at the top of the mat. So they're going to be roughly the width of the mat. And we're going to be sinking on down into our goddess pose. So just to show you what this looks like in my body, we're going to be sinking down, imagining that our back is against that wall, opening those knees, maybe lifting those heels off the floor, maybe getting to here. This is beautiful. Otherwise, pressing those heels down and seeing if we can sink right the way down into our goddess pose, pressing the elbows into the knees. Now, if the heels won't go to the floor, that's when you can use the blocks and place them underneath the heels. So you've got lots of options to play with. So let's do that together now. So feet are around hip width apart or the width of the mat. Pressing those feet firmly into the floor. Settling the breath, deep breath in. Exhaling, let it go. Nice. Now I want you to imagine this line of energy between the base of the sacrum lifting up out of the crown of the head. As you inhale, power that energy up. Lift that energy up through the body, up through the crown of the head. Hands come to prayer, and as you exhale, sink that energy down. Imagine that line coming down, connecting to the earth, powering up that goddess energy. Maybe bringing those heels to the floor, maybe pressing those elbows into the knees and holding in our goddess pose. Keep pressing knees to elbows, elbows to knees. Keep pressing those heels towards the floor. Keep drawing the shoulders away from the ears. Make that connection, that goddess connection from the earth through the crown of the head. Power it up. Feel that energy coming through the body. Really good for the sacral chakra, these kind of exercises. Breathing in, opening to the earth, that goddess wisdom. Nice, and when you're ready, hands to floor, point those toes forwards and start to lift the body gently, uncurling all the way back to standing. Beautiful job, everyone. Really nice. We're going to flow down now. So at the tops of your mats, we're going to extend the arms out to the side, bringing the arms up and overhead, hands meet in prayer. As we exhale, bend in the knees, bring the hands through heart center. Chest melts over thighs as we come into forward fold. Step one leg back, it doesn't matter which one. Take the other one back to meet it. Pedaling in downward facing dog if that feels good. And then dropping those knees, coming to tabletop position. From here, taking a little bit of an upper back stretch as we start to ground down. So left fingertips lifting up, left chest opening out to the left side of the mat. And then thread those left fingertips behind the right wrist, bringing left shoulder towards the floor, left ear towards the floor. Coming into our thread the needle. Making sure here the tailbone is still nice and high, so it's not like child's pose. The tailbone here is really lifted, sit bones shining up towards the ceiling. And hopefully feeling that opening in the upper back. If you want a bit more, you can tuck the right fingertips towards the right hip. The left hip, sorry. Nice. If you took that option, place the right hand back on the floor, and when you're ready, unthread those left fingertips, opening out towards the left side of the room and placing them back down. Taking that on the right side now, so right fingertips, extend out to the right side of the room, open that chest, and then thread right hand behind left wrist, bringing right shoulder to the floor, right ear to the floor. Sit bones still nice and high. Option to tuck the left hand towards right hip. Nice, and then if you took that option, left hand comes down first. Press into the left hand as we unthread the right fingertips. Lift them up towards the ceiling and place them back onto the mat. We're going to wiggle those knees back, press down or find a way to get the belly onto the floor, extend those legs behind the body. Take a lovely deep breath in, fingertips in line with the tops of the shoulders, relax the glutes, relax the legs, start to lift the head away, coming into a little cobra. And then relaxing everything down, all the way so that the chest meets the mat once again. Tucking those toes, pressing through the hands as we lift up into our tabletop through our angry cat spine. Transitioning back to child's pose, taking a breath or two in child's pose. Starting to earth back down, starting to move back to stillness. Nice, drawing the body up into tabletop. Swinging those legs round in front of the body. We've got one final pose before we move to Shavasana. So in this pose, we're going to open the legs out as wide as is comfortable. So our seated, wide-legged fold is what we're working into. You may wish to have the block, or the books, or the blankets, or the pillow underneath the sit bones as we move through this pose. So you've got that option to lift those sit bones up. And when you're ready, finding a comfortable position in this wide-legged pose. Now your legs might be narrower, they might be here. Great, doesn't matter. We all have different bodies, different legs, different hips, so just working with what feels good for you today. So when you've found that space, that position that works for you, activate those legs for me to get the real sense that we're lifting those toes towards the ceiling. Legs are active and strong. Take a deep breath in, root those sit bones down, find length through the crown of the head. And as you exhale, start to tiptoe the hands towards the feet, taking that length with us. Maybe hands can come to toes, maybe hands are on thighs or shins. And we're trying to keep the spine long as we start to bring the chest forwards towards the floor. Take a few breaths here and really try and resist the urge of rounding the spine. See if we can keep the spine long, extending through the crown of the head. Allowing the gentle weight of the chest and the body to just slowly allow the hips to open, the body to open. Finding comfort in the legs if you've gone too narrow, too wide, adjusting as you need. Keeping the spine nice and long. Nice, then just for a second, allowing the spine to round, allowing the weight of the head to draw the body down. Maybe kissing the earth. Resisting the urge to allow the feet to roll in, so keep those feet pointing out, pointing up. Then uncurling all the way back up to seated, closing the legs, hugging the knees in towards the chest. Nice. Heading on down now as we start to close practice. So coming to lie on your back. Finding comfort, settling into our Shavasana pose. So melting down, allowing the spine to come towards the floor, and if there's anything that I haven't guided that the body needs, take it now. So you might want to take a little stretch in the body, you might want to hug the knees in towards the chest, you might want to do a little twist. Just taking your time, please don't rush, and then settling into Shavasana when you're ready. So Shavasana is corpse pose. Nice name. So that might mean with your legs outstretched. Maybe there's a pillow underneath those knees if there's any issues in the lower back or it's feeling particularly sensitive today. Maybe you want to keep the soles of the feet planted down. And if you're taking that option, allow the knees to knock together, allow the feet to be wide. Take one hand to the heart, one hand to the belly if that feels okay. Otherwise, relaxing the hands down the side of the body. Close the eyes, drop the gaze. Allow the body to feel really heavy and supported in this moment. The movement is done. There's nothing else you need to do. Nowhere else you need to be. Just here, at home with the breath. If the mind should wander, gently bring that attention back to the breath. And just take a little scan down the body from the crown of the head, feeling the weight of the back of the head in the mat. Scanning down, allowing this relaxing sensation to wash down the muscles in the neck, to the tops of the chest, down the arms, into the belly, the pelvis, the hips, down the legs, into the feet. Get the sensation that the body is melting through the mat, totally supported and held. If you wish to extend this part of the practice, pause the video here and hold in stillness for a bit longer. Otherwise, allowing the breath to deepen once again. Allowing the hands to relax down the sides of the body, and as you inhale, bring that energy up through the toes, all the way to the crown of the head. As you exhale, let everything go into the earth that you no longer need. Inhale, draw that energy up. Exhale, let everything go. Making your way gently and slowly, in a way that feels good to you, up to a seated position, taking your time. Keeping the eyes closed, the gaze dropped, and just finding comfort in a seated position. Doesn't matter how you land, which way you're facing. And then when you're ready, extending the arms out to the side of the body, up and overhead, hands meet in prayer. Lightly press the palms together, and as you exhale, draw all that beautiful energy down through the central line of the body. Allowing the thumbs to brush the forehead, the nose, the mouth on their way to the heart, where we bow and say Namaste. Fluttering the eyes open, lifting the gaze. Thank you all so much for practicing yoga with me.